Hello and welcome to the Fox League podcast. My name is Darcy McDonald and joining me today is one of the biggest names and most accomplished players in the game. He's won 2 premierships and is the New South Wales and Australian captain. James Tedesco, welcome.
Darcy, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming in. First off, we need a health check. You missed last week's game due to a concussion. So how are you feeling and are you ready to go?
Yeah, feeling good. Obviously, I had one early in the year, so I definitely had to have the 11-day sort of recovery. Which I think is fair these days. It was good just to have a week and relax. I had a few sort of headaches the day after, but as I had a few more days of rest, felt fine. Trained at the end of last week, and then got into full training contact this week. So I've had no sort of symptoms or anything else come from it. Feel fine, and it was nice to refresh the legs, I guess. Watch the boys get a win. I was pretty sort of nervous because obviously we needed to win the game as well. And we need to win this week as well. So, I'm refreshed and excited for this weekend.
I was going to ask, how are you as a spectator, especially given every game is must win?
Yeah, it was. I asked Robbo if he wanted me in the box, and he said, "Yeah, come up." So I've been in the box a couple of times, and it gets pretty intense with Robbo and the coaches up there. But I think my dad actually messaged me after the first try. Sam Walker scored, and then after the game, Dad's like, "Oh, the commentary said you're not a coach. You're the only one smiling after a try. Everyone else is just straight faced." But I was excited, obviously, for Sammy's first game back, and he scored. So I sort of ride the highs and lows of the game, whereas the coaches are always pretty stagnant or pretty angry, not really excited or happy most of the time.
Are you afraid to say anything when you're sitting in the coach's box?
Nah, I sort of tell it how I see it, really. And Robbo will ask me some advice, especially because we had Joey Manu go down and Sawali go in. Anything I saw for him, and just commentary on the fullback and how we're going. But yeah, Joey Sawali played awesome, so it was great to see.
Yeah, I was about to say it was almost like a bit of a defining performance for him because he's had ups and downs this season. He goes to fullback where he wasn't planning on playing and had an outstanding game. What did you think of his game?
Yeah, I think the last month or two, obviously the team's been playing well, but he's been awesome for us. I think he's sort of got a lot of confidence back. I think most of the team sort of lost it, I guess, for the first half of the year. We obviously weren't winning games and none of us were playing our best footy. But I think the last month or two, I think everyone's sort of let go a bit and put some weight off our shoulders and just, had confidence to go out and play some footy. And he's done that. He's gone back to the wing midway through the year and just being confident on his role. But then even going back to fullback, he just thought, well, I'm just going to play footy here and not overthink it too much. And he was one of our best players, so that was awesome to see.
Bit of pressure on that number 1 jersey.
Yeah.
Joey Manu, he went off with that hamstring injury. He's been named to play on Friday. How's he looking? What's his training load like?
Yeah, I think he was running today, I think, to see how it all feels. So, I was going to say I was lucky we had 3 fullbacks, so Joey Sawali could fill in for Joey Manu when he went down. But, it didn't seem too bad. Joey, I think he was just obviously feeling the game, didn't want to risk it further, and he was going to run today to see how it feels. So fingers crossed, but it's hard to tell with hammies sometimes. I guess they can sort of hang around for a while, or if you're full sprint you don't feel it, I guess he'll be sweet to play. So I guess I'll follow up the Savo and see how he goes.
I assume it comes down to captain's run, right?
Yeah. I think he has to be confident enough to sprint and change direction. I think Victor actually had one probably a month or 2 ago, and he just said he didn't really sprint too much so he could get through it, and he actually has. He's got through it and been fine, but he can get away with not sprinting too hard in the middle. But if you're outside backs, you sort of need to have your speed. So that's what'll come down to if you can reach full speed.
The Roosters, you're on a 4-game winning streak. It's great to watch. But before we dive into that, we probably need to talk about the slump beforehand. So you started the season with 3 wins from your first 4 games. There was no alarm bells. It was just kind of business as usual, other than your round 1 loss. But after that, you only won 2 of your next 7 games and then just scraped through with a field goal to beat the Bulldogs in round 14. And it was kind of up and down until round 23. I'm curious, at what point did you guys kind of realise that something wasn't quite clicking?
Yeah, it was. Did you say the start of the year? I think we were sort of notorious for starting pretty slow. Roosters, ever since I've been in 2018, we sort of either won half our games and lost half, and there's sort of just, us easing into the year, so there was no sort of panic there. But I think, during the Origin time midway through the year, it was like, well, we weren't winning games we were supposed to. We definitely weren't at our best as a team and individually, and we sort of need to make some changes. So I think, sort of after the Origin period, I guess, is where we sort of made some changes on how we were playing. We sort of, as I said before with Joe, we sort of let go of a lot of expectations, because there were a lot of big expectations for us at the start of the year with the team we had on paper, that we should be top 4, top 2, you know, win the premiership. And the more weeks went on when we weren't winning games, that sort of more pressure definitely built on us. So I guess we looked back, looked forward after the Origin of like, well, we just need to win every game here. Let's not shy away from it. Let's go out and play some footy and back ourselves, because I felt like, confidence was definitely getting low there. And I think just having those honest conversations with the team and being clear on how we want to play for the next couple of months. We just went out and did it. And I think, it took some like honest conversations, but I think it was definitely beneficial for the team.
So you're obviously aware of the expectations, because like you said, on paper, you've got one of, if not the most star-studded side. And like, why do you think it wasn't transferring to the field? Because individually, you're all such amazing players. Put it all together. It just wasn't clicking.
Yeah, it's hard to put your finger on it. I think a lot of teams have sort of gone through it this year. It's been that type of year where teams have gone through winning streaks and losing streaks and form slumps and good form. So, it's sort of hard to put your finger on it. I think, as I said, I think we probably wore that expectation and pressure as a team a lot. We weren't playing well. It's, we're sort of tightening up of why aren't we getting results and why aren't we playing well? And so I think we just had to sort of take a step back and not overthink it too much. That was probably one thing I think we probably just, instead of going out and playing footy and using our eyes and using our instincts, we probably just got a bit narrow-minded and just wanted to try and make the win instead of going out and creating it. So it's hard to describe, but I think once we sort of let go of those expectations and pressures and just went back to the simple things, supporting each other in attack and defence, completing sets, that's when our footy sort of fell into place a bit.
We hear a lot of players talk about trying too hard and then it just gets harder and harder.
Yeah.
Do you think you guys are guilty of that?
Yeah, definitely. I think even for me as well, I was a bit like that as well, especially as captain and experienced guy, trying really hard. I mean, that's always been a part of my game, but when you just focus on that and not using your instincts and your footy brain, that's when you lose those sort of support tries, and we weren't scoring points because we weren't pushing for each other. We weren't completing. It was just it's frustrating because you're like, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah.
We're trying hard. Why aren't we getting results? But just the more we tried, the more we tightened up really. So we had to sort of loosen the reins there and give ourselves a bit of permission to play some footy. And since then we started scoring some great tries.
Was there ever a moment of panic?
Not panic. It's sort of maybe just unsure. We were unsure of what we were doing because we knew we always work hard at training, we always work hard in games. It wasn't like you look around the team and think, oh, he's not putting in, or you look back in the game and see guys not moving. We always see that. That's a part of the Roosters and how we train. Everyone works hard, and it's been a great group of players and staff, but it was sort of, why wasn't it clicking? So, I mean, we had a lot of stuff off the field as well that were going on with different players, coaches, and, we had a new halfback like 5-6 times. So we had different things going on, but it still wasn't clicking for a lot of us. So I'm just glad we could turn it around when people sort of didn't really give us much of a hope. So we still kept that belief that we could make a run of this end of the year, and we've done that so far.
When you're losing games, rumours start swirling about tension and things like that. How did you guys go about? I assume you blocked it out. How did you go about it?
Yeah, we sort of. I think we talked about being at the Roosters. Always going to be some external talk and pressures and whatnot from different people and media. But we just were confident inside our four walls what we needed to do and what we were clear on. So even just for me with the leadership group or with the whole playing group, just talking about it, knowing look, what we're doing here is right. Just keep focusing on it, make a few changes that we need to in how we're playing. But, the confidence in the players we have here and what we're doing is still high. So it's just about, trying to make sure that all the playing group's on the right path on it and having clarity on what we're doing and not really worrying about too much about the externals.
You mentioned before loosening the reins. Did you loosen the reins off the field too and have any bonding sessions?
Yeah, we did actually. I think remember before we had a bye coming up, so
Yeah.
we'd sort of have a team bonding session, but not too much. You don't really have those many bonding sessions as you did back in the day. Everyone's, I mean, now it's probably the same across the league. Everyone's so professional.
Yeah,
and then,
too professional.
Yeah, we're just all, that's what we're guilty of. Everyone's on their days off getting ice baths, saunas, massage. Everyone's just, that committed to working hard and getting the job done. I was like, please, let's just relax and enjoy our footy, because it was sort of creeping into our footy. We were very uptight about if it wasn't perfect, it's the end of the world. It was the end of the game. That defined the game. Whereas I think the last couple of months, if something didn't go, if they scored first or we made a few errors, like, it's all right, boys, let's just focus on the next job instead of, dwelling on that too much and letting it affect the whole game.
So essentially being perfectionists was kind of what's been hurting you.
Yeah, I mean, it's because you do. I mean, even for me, you want to be perfect, but it's, I don't think anyone's really played a perfect game. Maybe some people have, but it's pretty hard to chase as a team to make not for one person not to make one error the whole game. I think that's it's pretty hard to achieve.
Mm-hmm. Well, round 23 against Manly, the winning streak begun. I remember, I think it was you admitted in the days leading up to it that you guys simply had to win every game to keep your finals hopes alive. Do you think, in a way, simply having no choice, no wriggle room for a loss was almost a bit of what you needed?
Yeah. I don't know, it's hard to, because I feel like you don't want to put the pressure on everyone of, if we don't win, we're not going to be in the finals. So it's sort of about just taking it one game at a time, knowing, all right, put all our energy into this weekend. We need to win it. We know in the back of our mind that's to win every game is what we need to do. But it was not about putting too much pressure on ourselves. It's just about focusing week after week on what we need to do, taking our lessons along the way from the previous game, and then just backing ourselves and keep building that belief. So that's always been a big thing. Robbo was, as addressed, is just the belief in what we're doing, belief in the system, belief in each other, and then just backing ourselves.
And it sounds cliche, but I guess going back to basics, not worrying about trying anything new fancy, like we just need to win a game.
Yeah, I mean, all those basics, like completing sets and then making the tackles, that's obviously, you need that to win games, but it was also a bit of, play some footy. Back, don't be too, like I said before, if you make a mistake or something doesn't go the way we wanted it to, don't dwell on it too much. Just play some footy and enjoy.
Well, things have fallen into place in attack and you're scoring more points, but I've noticed as well, like you're conceding less points as well. So what's been the bigger focus at training? Is it attack or defence?
The Roosters are always more focused on defence. I think that's what Robbo's been that since I've been in the club, is defence, wins premierships. So that's always our biggest focus, but they sort of go hand in hand, to be honest. We talked about that. Like, we feel like we were defending really well, but then we weren't scoring points to give ourselves some breathing room. So it's just those tight games of, we're defending well, but we're not scoring points. So it's just about sort of going hand in hand, really. Sometimes our best defence is how you attack when you're scoring points and you got that momentum. The defence is feeling good. Everyone's moving for each other. So, it was sort of just a hand in hand sort of thing.
You're happy to see Sammy Walker back in first?
Yeah, massively. It's been a tough year for him. Yeah. Obviously, having the ACL, it's his first sort of injury that's kept him out of the game, and it wasn't the season ending, but it sort of just kept hanging around for him. He come back to train and sort of tweak it a bit, go to play cup and sort of not feel too great. So it's a scary one, ACL, because it was sort of a strain, but if it fully tears, and he's gone for another whole season. So he's done well to come back. I feel like he's come back real calm and mature, and I think he's probably learned a lot from being out of the game and just watching us. And I'm really enjoying it. He's obviously a special talent. He's going to be a part of the club for a long time. So it's great to see him back there on the weekend. He played really well. Yeah.
How did he handle? Because before he got injured, he was dropped to reserve grade. How did he handle it? Did you see, or I guess now, can you see it as more of a defining moment of his career?
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because obviously Robbo decided to put someone else in ahead of him, and Sammy's fine. If you know what Sammy's like, he's very relaxed and laid back, but. He was fine. He just wanted to go back to State Cup and play some good footy and get back in the team. And obviously at the time, none of us were really playing our best footy, in first grade. So it was sort of just disappointing that when he went back, he had that ACL sort of strain, and that sort of kept him out for a while. But I think, during that period, as I said, he probably learned a lot and probably reflected on himself and how he can get better and make everyone else around him better. And I feel like he's come back with that mentality. I feel like as a young kid, 18, 19 coming in, he was the superstar, and he always used to just everything he did turn to gold.
Yeah.
And which is how he played. But in first grade, he sort of you've got to look to how you can make the rest of the guys around you good, and I feel like Sammy's learned that. He's come back with that mentality, so I think that's a growing moment for him.
How are you finding this challenge of having to fight to get into the finals? Because I look back over your season since you joined the Roosters, and like every year you've either been really comfortable in the top 8 or at least had a bit of wriggle room. But this is a different experience.
Yeah. I've had this experience a couple of times at the Tigers, to be honest. When we were playing there, we were sort of fighting for a bottom 8 spot at the end of this time, and just trying to grind out wins. So yeah, it's I don't know, it's different. I mean, it's you learn a lot, I think, about yourself and the team when things aren't going the way you want it to. When things are going well, you win a premierships, everyone's happy and life's good. But when things aren't going tough, you got to make some changes to, as I said, the way we played and personally as well, individually make some changes. And I mean, it's been an up and down sort of year, but the way we finished the year is similar to previous years.
Yeah.
We've always sort of start slow, then we end.
Yeah, you time it to perfection.
Yeah, then we end really strong. So it doesn't feel too much different. Obviously, it's just those games in the middle of the season which we knew we needed to win, and we just didn't get the results. But the comp this year is just it's probably not a comp we've seen before, where so many teams are a chance. There's so many different scenarios, and it's so close. Obviously, I think Panthers and Brisbane are the benchmark. Storm are up there as well, but I think from third to all the way down to 10th, 11th, 12th now, they're just so close, and any team around there, could sort of make it in or make it out after a tight loss or a tight win could be the difference. So, I think I'm just excited for this Friday, and then, if we do get in the finals, I think anything can happen. So, as I said, we're sort of hitting our straps and confident at the moment, and as I said, just put all our energy and focus into this Friday night, get excited, and if we get a win, hopefully some results go away and we're a chance.
How about your individual season? How do you sum it up?
It's probably not the best. Like, obviously, I've had some really successful years at the Roosters and since coming to the club, but it's been tough for you. Obviously, Origin as well wasn't successful. We obviously didn't start the year we wanted to, and hasn't been, that successful, happy year that I've had a few of. But as I said, I've probably learned a lot, especially leadership wise. Trying to captain the club and captain New South Wales. What changes I could make and how I could grow in those situations. So I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed learning a bit about myself and learning new things on leadership and making some changes personally. And I mean, it's still, I think if we win this weekend, obviously we make the finals, have success, it could turn into the best year ever. But you just gotta keep working hard. That's all my focus is. I never get too down, no matter the result. I'm always gonna give my best every week, and try and lead as best I can. I think that's the most important thing for me at the Roosters. I want to lead the boys, to success. And I've been captain for the last 3 years now, and I feel like that's all I want to do is lead the Roosters to a premiership. So we've done it in 18, 19, but I was just a fullback doing my role there. So to lead Roosters to a premiership as a captain is definitely a goal for sure.
What type of changes have you made? Because I imagine to be at the level you've been at for so long, you've probably got your routine down packed.
Yeah.
So what type of changes?
Routine and physically, that's never really changed. I've always stayed on top of my body physically and looking after myself. Even now at 30, my body feels great after playing so much footy this year. So I think that's always been, a positive for me. But I think changes to how I've played is probably a bit, probably learn a few lessons there. I think leadership-wise, I've taken more control and not sort of just sitting back and, focused on myself. I think that's easy to do. Especially when you aren't winning, to just I just want to focus on myself, but that's not what a leader does. It's about bringing everyone else up with you and trying to get the best out of the whole team, not just yourself. So just working on different combinations, different changes with how we're playing with the spine or with the middles, and I think when you sort of get to my age, as I said, I've been around the game for a while now. I just think, well, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing and I should be right. But then when you don't sort of get results, and you're not at your best, you sort of look for some changes. Even just watching the NRL, watching other fullbacks, like what are they doing that's making them successful at the moment? Trying to take that on board. Obviously, just in my own style, but yeah, just taking different things on board. And the mental approach is the big one, I think, especially when things aren't going your way. There's a lot of got a lot of criticism and there's a little feel that weight on your shoulders. It's like, how can I get clear and get back to just enjoying my footy? And that's probably been a big learning for me as well, is just not carrying the weight on my shoulders of the team or externally, just getting back to enjoying my footy, playing and having fun, and obviously nailing my role, but then enjoying it along the way as well.
What other fullbacks do you have your eye on?
Oh, I like to watch all fullbacks, to be honest. I love watching Reece Walsh this year. Is just enjoying watching his work, especially on the back of shapes, and what he can do with the ball is enjoyable to watch because he's doing it at a very high level at the moment. I feel like Caelan's doing some really good things in the attackingly at the moment. The last 2 months, I think, of footy for him has just been enjoying watching his stuff, especially at the back, the ball playing. I think those two are probably the top of the game in terms of ball playing. Then I like to watch Gutho because I like his work rate. I think he's probably underrated. A lot of the things he does, but defensively he's probably the best defensive fullback in terms of movements and cover tackles and just effort-based stuff that I like watching. So, probably.
Yeah, they're all three very good picks. Yeah. You touched on the criticism that's come your way this season, and it's interesting because you've very rarely been criticised in your career. So was it a challenge when you received criticism? How much do you buy into it? How do you block it out?
Yeah. I feel like I'm used to it. I always have a bit of criticism, even at the Tigers days when I was injured. Fair few times there was sort of a bit of criticism there that I wasn't up for it and stuff like that. But I just try to. I don't obviously try to read into them. I always judge myself just on my best. I don't sort of need to read and feel better at myself if I play good or bad at myself if I don't play good. I know I hold myself to sort of high standards. So I always know if I don't hit those standards, then that's on me. I've got to be better. So that's all I sort of take on board. I don't want to read into too much. As I said, if it's good or it's bad, I don't like to read too much. I know if I played well, I still look for improvements. It's funny, even if you play good, you sort of look at the one or two things you didn't do well, and you're like, well, that would have been nice if I just nailed that as well. Yeah, so that's always just how I've played my footy. And especially as I said, as being a captain as well, you just want to make everyone else feel comfortable and feel confident, and that's your part as leader. Even if you aren't your best as a leader, you still have to lead the boys well. It's not just taking a back seat and then focus on yourself. Lead the boys well, be confident, and it's been a ride, but it's been a good learning.
You mentioned a little bit earlier taking more control. Is that on the field and, say, at training in the sheds as well? Yeah, it's more
off the field, I think, at training and in our video sessions and just with the team. Sort of just it's about having conversations with Robbo and the coaches of what we think is best for the team, and just having open conversation. I think sometimes we can just get stuck in listening to the coaches and just doing whatever they say. But I think the coaches love when we have some feedback for them and come to them with things that we think might be best for the team. So I think that's an important role as a captain. I think sometimes players can get caught in just having conversations with each other but not actually approaching it. So, having some conversations with the coaches, being open and honest, and then, all getting clear on what we need to do and, being on the right path.
Well, this Friday night you're up against the Rabbitohs in what is probably the biggest regular season round game in a long time. Final spot on the line pending what happens with the Cowboys on Saturday. We're still a couple of days out, but how are you feeling about that? Yeah,
I'm excited. It's as I said, after the week off especially, I was very bored last week. I really couldn't really do too much. I was just watching and doing a bit of training, but I'm just excited to get back out there. Should be a packed house out there at Accor. It's obviously the biggest rivalry. It's what it seems like this time of year, whether it's finals or the end of the year, we always play South in a big game. So Remember this time last year was a massive game, the first
Oh,
one.
yeah, don't worry. We'll get into that.
So, yeah, it's going to be something similar. It's going to be a big crowd. It's going to be a lot of intensity. But, yeah, just enjoy that experience.
Is it probably the biggest regular season round game you've ever played?
Yeah, well, that and Anzac Day.
Yes,
the
of
Anzac
course.
Day is
Yep.
always a big game on our calendar, and it's always packed out, and there's always a lot of emotion and intensity in that as well. But I guess First and South there's that little bit extra in it as well.
Do you get nervous before the big games?
I handle myself pretty well. I think I don't really get nervous probably until they run out there and we're about to kick off. But I'm always pretty calm and pretty relaxed. But some boys are in there dry reaching and pretty nervous. But I'm always pretty calm.
You're going to be without your star enforcer, Hargraves, after he copped a 7-game suspension combined for 2 incidents. Big loss, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's that's how Jared plays the game. He plays the game aggressively, and sometimes he's on the borderline. Sometimes of getting suspended or going over that. So I mean, he's gutted. He's just disappointed that he did that, and that he's gonna miss some time for us. But I'm excited for them. I'm excited for the young front rowers to sort of step up. Yep. And Jared's missed a couple of games this year when he has the guys like Fletch, Terrell, Egan. Those guys have really stepped up and then led the way. So it's a good opportunity for those guys, and we've got all the confidence in the world in them.
How do you go captaining a guy like Jared? Because I had Andrew Ryan on the podcast earlier this season. He was talking about captaining guys like Willie Mason and Marco Amelie and knowing when to, I guess, let them do their thing and when you need to pull them inside.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because Jared, I love when Jared's, being aggressive and being that warrior that he is. He's done it for so long now, and he's always led the way from the front for us at the Roosters. So you got to let him do his thing, but then sometimes he does go a bit over the line, and you got to. He's told me before when we've been push and shove. I think earlier in the year with Penrith as well. As soon as I'm sort of around it and telling him, to Jared to take a step back and just calm down a bit. As soon as he sort of hears my voice, he realises that he needs to do that. So I'm glad I have that sort of a calming influence over him. But I wasn't out there on the weekend with him against Tigers, so maybe that's
what's happened, hasn't it? You must be a little bit happy there's no Latrell this week, just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean you always want to play against the best, especially fullback and. I feel like we do a pretty good job on Latrell as well, and so it's always a bit of heat there. Obviously, him being in the Roosters before, and but yeah, it's a loss for him for sure because Latrell's a superstar, and what he can do at the back, and him and Cody create a lot of opportunities for their outside backs. So it's probably a bit of a loss for him, but Blake Taff, whenever he's been in this year, he's done a really good job for him, and they were winning games pretty well when he was there as well. So I'm sure he's going to do a good job.
We know these clashes, they always get a little heated. 2 proud Sydney but rival clubs. Can you take us inside training this week and ahead of any time you go up against the Rabbitohs? Do you guys talk about keeping a lid on emotions? Do you address it?
Yeah, we've sort of probably let the emotions get the best of us, especially the finals game last year.
Yep.
There was 8 sin bins.
7, yeah.
7 sin bins, whatever it was. It was a pretty crazy game. But yeah, you can't let that emotion get to you. It's definitely got to us a couple of times, and that's just because of the build up and obviously the fans and the rivalry. There is that a bit extra emotion and intensity in the game. But yeah, I think for us it's just we just got to focus on the game and taking it one moment at a time, not getting caught up in any emotion or any niggles or anything like that. We just stay cold blooded about what we need to get done. And then we can celebrate after, but if we do what we need to do, the result will take care of itself, hopefully.
Cold-blooded, I love that. 7 sin bins that last, I think it was week 1 of the finals, sin bin Sunday. Was that the most chaotic game you've played?
Yeah, well, I started with, I got concussed as well, so I was in the sheds and just sort of watched the game. I was sort of a bit out of it. I was watching and I was like, didn't really know what was happening because it was just a chaotic game. Felt like we were on top, and then there was the sin bins and whatever else was happening. But it was sort of hard to watch. I just wanted to tell. I think Rad's got sin bin twice.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, then we came in the second time. I was like, just keep it nice and calm out there. We don't need to buy into any emotional. Just do what we need to do and get the job done. But don't think that worked.
Can you remember the feeling in the sheds afterwards? Because essentially you shot yourselves in the foot with all that emotion. So was there a bit of regret, I guess, in the sheds?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard it's easy to look back and think, don't do that. But in the heat of the moment, that's how footy is sometimes. And obviously there's, guys that could look back and think, I should have been more calm there. I didn't need to do that. But it's hard. It's hard in the heat of the moment when tempers are flying and there's a lot of aggression, a lot of intensity around. But yeah, it was definitely something we talked about. In review later that week was we just need to be in control of our own selves, and that's definitely what cost us in the end. Do
you remember what Robbo said when he finally got into the sheds after that?
I can't remember after the sheds, but it was definitely like I said, we shot like you said, we shot ourselves in the foot, so it was just disappointed because we beat them the week before. We played really well, and we knew it was going to be a different game, but we definitely should have gave ourselves every opportunity to win, and we just didn't do that.
I spoke to Cooper Cronk at the start of this year, and he said you guys probably got caught up in the emotion, but you would have learnt a lot from it. Do you agree?
Yeah, definitely. That's something we've definitely addressed in the preseason about just keeping our emotions intact. Getting caught up in all push and shove and sin bins. It's just something that, especially a sin bin these days. This year, like you lose a guy for 10 minutes, it can really turn a game, and it showed that in numerous games this year. So it's still been pretty common, to be honest. We've still had a couple this year, and a lot of teams have had that as well. So it's easy to talk about. It's just about in that moment holding your nerve and just getting on to the next moment. Whether it's a good shot or an error, just flushing that and getting on to the next moment.
Is it a bit of a balancing act? Because you obviously want to respect and lean into the rivalry a little bit, but at the same time keep you...
Yeah, well, you can still do that. You can still hit hard. You can still be aggressive, but not taking it too far where it costs you a player for 10 minutes or it costs the team. So, I mean, our forwards and how we play, it's always going to be that aggressive style, but just as I said before, nice and cold-blooded and just not dwelling on that moment too much, just getting on to the next job, whatever happens.
Well, finally, the Rabbitohs ended your 2022 season in week 1 of the finals. Are you out for revenge on Friday?
We're out to win the game. There's no really revenge or anything. Like the media can put it up however they want to, but we're just out to win the game, so that's our focus.
1 week at a time, cold-blooded, hey? James Tedesco, thank you so much for your time in what I'm sure is a very busy and important week. All the best for Friday, and hopefully there's more games to come this year.
Thanks, Darcy. Cheers.